Hello, this is Alec with my new partner, moderator, here to talk about Dead Terrace versus It Must Be Jelly because Jam Don't Shake. Dead Terrace bringing a very interesting setup. We're now seeing the Lashak for the first time, as well as the Drekovic, the Triglavians finally representing in this tournament, backed up by an Oneros, 3 Thoraxes for a little good old Galenti Blaster Rush, 2 Tackle Garmers, and a Skybreaker, most likely for utility. Moderator, what do we have on the Jelly side?
So for the jelly side, because they're definitely going to be causing some shakeup with those torpedo Foons, a Vindicator, Nurgle, Magus, Pontifex, a pair of Thalias for logistics, a Vigil, and a Griffin for that utility. And we're getting underway here. The Thoraxes for the Dead Terror side choosing to stream across the field. The Garmers burning behind, possibly trying to get tackle on the backline of that Griffin.
I like the Thalia picks. These teams are going to be mixing it up at short range. Ooh, the Skybreaker is just gone. It
Yeah,
looks
that
like
is
the
a
Griffin
boundary
has been
violation.
tackled.
Yeah, the boundary violation happened right off the bat. I'm not sure if that was some sort of misclick, but we see that the Garmers are in the back line and have picked off and killed the Griffin. Meanwhile, we see a cloud of repair bots on top of the Lashak and one of the Typhoons diving on top. If you have any smart bombs, let's see if that effect goes off. Not yet, so so far the Lashak taking incredible amount of damage. Not much going on to the core of Jam so far.
This is potentially a grave error by the Jelly side of things. Their jam has been spoiled here by these Garmers who have gotten in the back line, and all of the Jelly support ships kind of congealed around them instead of realizing that they were there and running the opposite way. So now they have this Griffin, or excuse me, the Vigil tackled down, and they nearly had a Magus as well. That
Yeah,
Vigil is dropped along with the Thorax. That's a pretty good trade, though.
yeah, so speaking of trades, we see that the Lashak and the Typhoon fleet issue are in roughly the same amount of armor. But now the Typhoon's just absolutely getting chunked. That would be the Lashaks and the Drekovac now spooling, getting their maximum applied damage, breaking through armor and the rest of the hull. It would appear that there's a bit of split damage between that Lashak and Instructor Khan in the Thorax.
Yeah, one key thing to keep in mind is these Drekovac and Lashak, once they put damage on a target, it will ramp up slowly over time. And critically, it doesn't seem like there is any way for the Jelly side to break that. They don't have any ECM drones or other elements that would really disrupt the weapon system of these Triglavian ships. So that spooling damage is just going to continue to ramp and ramp and ramp without an end in sight.
Their thought process was definitely to bring a Griffin to do that, but the Garmers just immediately from Dead Terrace burned round into the backline, assassinated, so they no longer have that. And we see that the paint on Menoace has been fully repaired by that Oneros of Kiku, and DeAndre Delascu is getting absolutely demolished. The Lashak's just chunking. It would appear we have active reps on the Typhoon fleet issue, but it's just not enough. Finally, a target swap to the Drekovac, but we see already just a cloud of logistics drones moving over to that Drek.
Now, the Drek is taking severe damage. The Garmer also about to drop. The Drek just getting chunked, though. Those repair bots are not doing enough here. He is going to drop about the same time as the Foon. That's still a pretty good trade. Oh, that Foon might hang on. Nope, there it goes.
Yeah,
Honestly, this Lashak has the DPS to carry. It's just a matter of who can get that DPS applied first. There is a lot more support on the Jelly / Jam side.
yeah. Dead Terrace though are pretty comfortable at this point. Two Lashaks can easily handle this Vindicator, and they're doing just that. Unfortunately for the Jam side, those Fleet Typhoons, they just didn't bring any smart bombs in those high slots, and we see a cloud of repair drones on top of the Lashak, and they're not going to break either of these Lashaks. They can kill a Thorax, and possibly a Garmer, but the Vindicator's going to get traded out. I just don't see any way Jam can come back into this. Dead Terrace just executing well and outperforming Jelly.
Yeah, their only way through would be to somehow land a tackle in that Oneros and switch damage over there because it's clear that they can't break through. I mean, they're essentially getting these Thorax kills because they're prioritizing keeping the Lashak alive. I don't know that they're going to have the DPS to punch through the Aniris reps with those really beefy Lashaks. They've got a resist bonus. They've got tons of tank on top of that damage, as well as all those utility highs. They really are a pretty scary ship.
Yeah, I mean, look at the defense bar for Dead Terrace now that we're 5 minutes into this match. It's almost to the top of the screen. The attack bar is larger, the control bar is larger. Jelly is just now breaking the Thorax, but they're going to lose a Vindicator, and they've, I mean, essentially lost this match on points at this point. You can't break an Oneros and 2 Lashaks with the amount of repair bots they've got left. 1 Nurgle, a pair Magus, and a Pontifex isn't enough to do anything.
No, even if they were to tackle down that Aniris, its local tank should be sufficient to keep everything up, even with the Nurgle ramping damage. And those Magus and the Pontifex about to drop simultaneously, practically.
Yeah, I mean,
man, the door is shut hard here on Jelly.
Yeah, I have to question the wisdom of bringing those fleet typhoons and not running any sort of utility in there. Just as choosing, I'm going to go all damage. Meanwhile, we see just the clouds of repair bots that were on the Lashaks, that were on the Drekavek, sustaining that team, and they were able to just out sustain the entire match. I mean, look at the rep bars on each team, more or less indicating how much utility was being brought. And Dead Terrace with what I would say is a pretty strong showing in their first match of the beta rounds.
Absolutely. I mean, you could kind of see the game plan with the Typhoons just to bring that max damage, and they can put out some fantastic damage. And perhaps against more of a glass cannon type setup, maybe that would have worked out. But the Lashaks are a great combination of tank and damage because they do get a resist bonus on top of that ramping damage bonus. They have their drawbacks, but it must be Jelly because Jam Don't Shake just didn't have the tools they needed to take advantage of those drawbacks. Their ECM got popped almost immediately, and honestly, they brought the most token amount of ECM you could possibly hope for. No ECM drones in the mix. It didn't seem like they had tracking disruptors in any significant way. So they're really just at the mercy of these Lashaks, and boy, they paid for it.
Yeah, to piggyback off of that, we didn't see any sort of major neuting effect from Jelly. We didn't see any sort of tracking disruption. They went with kind of an all-in DPS setup, and one of the unfortunate parts of that is that the setups can tend to be very one-dimensional. And if you're wanting to go up against some of these tournament teams that have a bit more experience, at least in the 2v2 and the smaller scale scene, you need more depth in what your setups can do besides sit on top of you at 0 and do damage, because you see what happens when you're not prepared. Your backline gets assassinated, you have your utility get taken out, and you just get out-mitigated. And we're seeing that more or less pan out as the Oneros is the primary in these last couple minutes, but the Oneros is fine on.
Well, there you were able to see the amount of ass the Nurgle can bring out. It does have a very powerful DPS for Frigate. It was able to take that Oneros to about 2/3 armor, but ultimately shut down by the Lashak neutralizers and DPS. And now these Thalias, their logistic ships, they can't put anything into it. We're basically going to watch the clock run out on this match. They seem to be very far away, so they're probably not going to die. But that's not much consolation to that team.
These Thalias are doing the slowest 1 MN slow boat, what appears to be towards the arena, or maybe they're just going to live to win for the last minute. I'm actually kind of impressed with the Dead Terrace comp here. Even though it was rather top end and it was a little bit one-dimensional with the Thoraxes, I like the use of the Garmers to get in and take out the backline. Not so sure what the plan was with the Skybreaker choosing to jump out of the arena in the first 5 seconds of the match was, though.
Would have been interesting to see what role that played. The Skybreaker, the cheapest ship you can possibly get, but we haven't seen it in the feeder tournament so far. It brings a lot of utility for its point value. Only 1 point, but a lot of mid slots.
The other thing that the Skybreaker is very underrated for is now that its weapon system has been upgraded and they hit 10 targets instead of 5, I believe. They're very good at clearing off either ECM, damage, or rep drones. You can use them as a one-point smart bomb, essentially. Might be a little bit clowny. We do see the Thalias now at 116. One of them getting killed, actually. 118, 19. He's not going to boundary, just staying on the edge of the arena, getting hit by those acolytes. I don't think
he
he'll
is
go
dropping
down.
quickly.
I don't think we'll see him go down in the last 20 seconds of the match here.
Jesse McWaffle, the last ship standing. Maybe, hopefully.
Yeah, with 6 seconds, it's going to be over here. Well
Yeah, it's
played
gonna be over.
to Dead Terrace, and we'll send that one back to the studio.